Well, when suddenly campfire chats, cozy campfire chats, thank you all for showing up. Tonight we are going to be having a nice little cozy sit down with VJ. I've known VJ mutually for I don't know how many years on through TikTok. It's all blur. And I've had the opportunity to kind of hire VJ for some consulting work, and those have always been super wonderful. But now's the opportunity for me to just really sit down and get to know VJ a lot more on a personal level and deepen our mutual TikTokness into friendshipness, if you will. As always, for February, we are here on behalf of Black Girls Code. Which if you want to support that, you can go to titterpigacademy.com/donate, and you'll see our February organization of choice, which this organization for Black History Month is Black Girls Code. But without further ado, let's jump over and bring in VJ. Hey, VJ.
Hi, hello, I'm in it.
In it to win it.
Hold on, let me shift this up just a little bit so you can see my forehead. Hello.
I can fix it on my
folks.
end too if I need to. Here.
Nah, you're good. Hi, I'm here. I'm VJ. In case you don't know me, hi, I'm VJ. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and something funny. And by something funny, I mean like, for example, my buddy Ben. My buddy Ben gave me the pronouns bottom self. And when I was playing, I played in what did I play? I played in Ghostfi, which is a really fun solo to duo RPG.
Okay.
And my pronouns suggested was/were because we were dead. We were ghosts.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So if you've got if you got a funny pronoun, put it in the chat. I'll probably check it out.
Beautiful. And I have to know, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking hot cocoa. Because here's the thing. I thought you, because my brain was like, oh, I just need a drink. Cool. I'm going to get some tequila and put it in this tea. But I was like, wait. And then I went back and reread. I was like, that's not a hot drink, and I'm not heating up the tea to put the tequila in it.
Right.
So I was like, let me get some cocoa.
Beautiful. And that's like last time I had just a cup of coffee. That was my hot drink. But I was like, yeah, this is supposed to be campfire themed. So I too, and this is just Swiss Miss. But I did heat the milk. I did milk in a saucepan. Heated that up first. So it's a hot milk, Swiss Miss, and like a shot of Hershey's chocolate syrup. So I went full chocolate on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's I've been spoiled because the gaming store I work at, I work the cafe sometimes, and we have they call it the Hoth chocolate, and it's steamed milk. Like we use our espresso machine to steam the milk and then put it in the hot chocolate. And I'm like, I'm really spoiled now with that whole process. But and my blanket. I'm with the Jack Nightmare Before
Lovely.
Skeleton blanket. Is yours a special blanket, or is it just a warm, comfortable blanket? Oh, my camera.
It's a warm,
died.
comfortable. Yep.
Keep going. It happens.
It's a warm, comfortable, heated blanket. However, I don't have the little guy plugged in, so
That's fine.
It's just a comfy little guy right now.
That's good. Here I am. For some reason, this camera. We were just talking about this. So I have. No, you're good. There, I'm back.
Hello. No, the camera hates you.
It hates. Absolutely, it should. It should.
It should.
VJ, you look so cozy. Absolutely.
I am very comfy and cozy.
But no, I was very excited that you agreed. See, I'm gonna keep pausing. Let me see. Hold on. Let me. Oh. Are we good? I'm so happy you agreed. Like I had said at the top of this, we've worked together. I brought you in to help out with some games I'm working on. And I was like, hey, I want you to consult on, some of the racial aspects that were kind of going into it. And we haven't really talked since then. And you helped me out a lot. I think so much to the point where I dropped the game entirely, and because there was it was
Oh.
so interlocked into the lore of
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
that I was
Mhm.
like, "There's no way of going forward where it's not a completely different thing." And so I'm just like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
have to come back at it later and just really rip apart everything and rebuild from scratch.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's a really important thing I've learned and would tell other designers, like, sometimes you just gotta put that
Yeah.
project down and say, "This doesn't work," and that's okay.
Mhm.
And
And sometimes you could get lucky and hand it off to someone who's like, "Hey, I have this idea. I started this work, but I realize it's not really something I need to be continuing. If you're interested in it,
yeah.
here's everything I had on it."
Yeah. And that's could be interesting, like you're saying, like, that could be, like, if it's not a story for me to tell, clearly not a story for me to tell, but if somebody wants to tell that story, you know, hey, this is kinda could be that vehicle to do so. Because really and it's for me, um it was more about the religion side of things, because as I was deconstructing my own religiosity, I've you talk about people that use their trauma. I'm gonna reset my camera. Hold on. Everything's gonna go dark for a second, folks.
Okay, well, folks, while that's happening, how about I entertain you? So, what have I been doing lately? You know what I've been doing over TikTok? I don't know if y'all know this, but
I do.
I don't know if y'all know this, but I love smasher passing monsters personally. My favorite, of course, is the Mind Flayer. For those of you that don't know, I'm a Mind Flayer girly, as it were. I need to get a shirt that says that actually. Um, I need to make some VJ's creation merch that says Mind Flayer girly, like
You're
the snap, and then a Mind
yes,
Flayer face on it.
yes.
But yeah, folks. So I've been doing Smasher Pass for the 2024 Monster Manual, and I've gotten 3 parts up, and I don't think I'm out of the.
Last I saw, you were still in the A's.
Am I still in the A's? I might be still. I might be still in the. I don't know where I am in part 3. I'm somewhere, and I have
Mm,
parts 4 through 6 already filmed, and I'm still not
beautiful.
halfway through the book.
The Aboleth was great because that was just like, if you know, you know. I'm a size queen, and here we go. Like, all right,
Mm.
well,
One of
you
my
know what you like, you know what you like.
one of my friends was in the comments like, "I learned something new about you every day, bud."
Hey, that's what it's all about, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable.
Being vulnerable and unabashedly into fucking monsters, Actually, funny story, I applied to be an editor at a monster fucking magazine. Didn't get the position, but I did apply.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Anyway, I was saying trauma. We all working through our trauma and things like that. And so really, and I think that's what I need to do with the game is like I need to really just focus in on more of that side of things. But with
Mhm.
but we'll see. But, yeah. And I was actually going to talk about your monster fucking series because it's like this is what when people say hear me out, to me that's like
This is
that
what it's meant to be. Oh my
yes.
god. Every time I see a hear me out and it's conventionally attractive white people or conventionally attractive people of any race, mind you, but especially I see it a lot with white people. I'm like, if in my head, I'm like, if you would have said "hear me out" to this person to me, I would have thrown you off a bridge, a low bridge, but I would have thrown you off a bridge. Like
Like
this is not
come
a hear
on.
me out. Like
Yeah.
one of my players had a real fucky hear me out, and so I run a bunch of games, right? And one of them it was like in universe one shot where they were it's the Curse of Strahd meets Spelljammer game,
Okay.
and they were like a part of the resistance trying to get information and help Van Richten get some info, and they had to fight a gloom mother
Oh,
matron. I think it was a gloom matron
okay.
because there are gloom maidens that are warriors for the dark for my Strahd, who is a black woman. I had to switch up the change some things up, and this motherfucker was a big bulbous bloated undead body, 3 rotten heads I think, and one of my players was like, "What that mouth do?" And I was like, "That's a real hear me out.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a real like
100%.
yeah."
That's what one of my favorite people, Nessa. They had a series like that for a minute. It was like, "What that thing do?" It was like a One Piece. It was like going through all the One Piece, and I think it was the clown that, like, stretches. It was like, "Yeah, but, like, what that thing do?" Like, that's appropriate.
Oh, that's funny.
Is this appropriate campfire chat? This is the camp counselors after the kids have all gone to bed.
I was literally about to say this feels like a late night chat where you're supposed to have a little liquor in your drink, and it's all the adults having a conversation of
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, who was the worst person? I kind of imagine it's like if we were at a camp and like in my brain, it's like one of us has slept with like a bunch of the other counselors that aren't here or something. It's like, so who was the worst one and who
Right.
ended up like
Like, we need the tea. Give us the tea
yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
This is after hours camping. Cozy camp chat. That's beautiful. But I love all the work that you do outside of the more, like, extreme stuff. I've always enjoyed when you come across my FYP with all the work that you've been doing and trying to what I feel like has pushed D&D past its preconceived notions about everything and anything, and that's always impressive. It's just people taking, like, I don't care what your book says.
Yeah, no,
I've got
exactly.
this.
Recently I was thinking back on like my choices in life and the
Mhm.
career that I'm currently in because I went to school for public relations
Okay.
and I got a bachelor's in communication, which is the public relations, and interdisciplinary studies, which was a cobbled together degree. It was creative writing with a focus in African American and queer studies. And in my brain, I was going to make books in the style of like Max Brooks's World War Z, like that
Yes, yes,
interviewing
yes, yes,
style,
yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
but about spanking in the Black community. Um, because it's Jesus, it's it is a like it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and it is like something that happens a lot in my community, not just my
Mhm.
community, but I was focusing on like my own house. And I was like, man, I had a completely different trajectory than what I ever thought it was gonna be.
Sure,
And now I'm still the like the African American and queer studies is still like getting used, and I am
sure.
like making changes within my community. Just not in the way I thought I
Yeah,
would be. So I'm happy to be doing it. I'm happy to be doing it alongside people like
yeah,
Asians Represent and the whole 9 yards of folks trying to like push D&D past
yeah,
what is written in the books and people's preconceived
yeah,
notions.
yeah. And you're on Hillman Talk, right? You I thought I saw you do a professorship on Hillman Talk. Okay, I thought
Hmm.
so, and I was like,
Yep.
and that was,
Yep.
man, as soon as I saw that, and I feel very lucky, and that as soon as I saw the name Hillman, I'm like, I used to watch. Oh no, the name just flew out of my head. Don't give it to me. It's a different world. I was a huge fan of Dwayne Wayne, like all of that, and so as soon as I heard the name Hillman, I'm like, I'm with it. I know where. I know what this is. Yes. Give me
Yeah,
my
I'm
give me my
really
glasses with the flip up lenses, and I'm there, baby.
I'm really excited. Like, I'm happy that that happened because, mind
Mhm.
you, I'd been wanting to do something like this for a while, and I was like, I need something to push me to do it. And then the trend happened, and so right now I'm working my way through Orientalism by Edward Said, and like doing like the videos for each little section I get into and stuff, and
Yeah,
like reading reading it all, like, because mind you, I'd started it before but I hadn't finished it, and it was so long ago that I'm rereading it with like my brain's like, you've never read this before, so I'm back to
yeah.
like, oh my god, this is like, whoa, like
Right,
I'm
right.
like
Yeah.
it's good.
That's wonderful. I'm it's one of those things that's, yeah, it's when you start to you read something. I don't know if, at least for me, and I go back years later and read it again, and it's like, did I missed, or why did I not absorb this the first time around?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
I missed this, and it's that's so cool to that all of this has caused that to happen for you again. It's like, oh, I need to really get back into this study again. That's so cool. When I saw you pop up with that, I was like, "Yeah, VJ, bring a little of the nerd into this this entire situation." That's what I'm talking about. Uh, I've seen a lot of people talk about it being suppressed, but what was weird is I wanted to respond to one of the people that popped up. It's like Hillman Talk's being suppressed. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like all I've ever seen is how it's being suppressed. Like I see all the people I follow, and all everybody's just talking about how they're being suppressed. So I'm like, are you being suppressed, or are you just talking about it? Like I can't really say for certain.
Yeah, like certain things is very clear when it's like, yeah, I don't think this isn't getting as many views as it should. But other things, I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
'Cause, are you sure?
Yeah, and other creators are just like, unfortunately, there was like all things TikTok, things are fickle, and people were really excited at the beginning. But if they don't keep engaging with your material, it's gonna fall off, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the issue. I will say the professor, the doctor, whose name, because
Barlow?
I'm bad with name, the one who started it, the whole thing.
I think it's
Barlow
Dr.
sounds
Barlow.
right. That does sound right. Um, Yeah, I don't see her pop up. But then again, that was never the point for
Yep,
for
yep,
her.
that was her.
Thank you. I'm terrible with names.
You and me both,
Give
homie.
me give
You
me
and me both.
give me faces and I'm good. And that's what sucks is the gaming store I work at now. People have an account that you can look up. And every time they walk up, I'm like, "Look, I know your face. I know you have an account. And I know I've asked for your name every time you've walked up here. I apologize. I'm not gonna I won't remember your name.
Listen, if I see you, I'll be like, "Hey, I know you."
Yeah. Hey.
Sorry, I can't remember your name, but I know you.
Oh my gosh, man! Talking about this. This is a good. We have this wonderful group that comes in and plays, and it's an all. If it looks like all women, or at least all women identifying group that plays, and they're playing Pathfinder, which of course I'm like, yeah. And we had this one day, this woman walk in, this black woman come in with her friend group, and she was asking about D&D stuff. And I was like, there's only one group that I could potentially think that you would be good with. And she's like, well, other groups, would they be okay? And I'm just like, I just don't know. And it seems super dangerous to just like, hey, go hang out with these grognards, because I don't know how it's going to turn out.
You never know. It could be the best
It
experience
could.
ever. I literally, so I follow, God, what are they called? The Eldridge podcast, I think it is on TikTok. Like a guy, actually, I don't know how they identify gender wise, but a white person and a person of color.
Yeah.
I think the like femme presenting person is a person of color, and they'll read like some of the Reddit like, or people will send in
Yes, I know who
messages
you're
to them
talking
and stuff.
about. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
they're
they're
English or Australian.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. Some
accents.
like yeah, they
Yeah,
have
I know who
accents.
you're talking about.
And there was one that like had a really misleading like title, and we were expecting like, oh, these men, these grognards said
Yeah,
something really fucked up to this young lady, but no, it was like it was such a great experience where it was a birthday, hadn't come from a great home. The
beautiful.
yeah, the two guys were like, hey, buy something nice for your birthday, gave some money, got our first set of dice for her, like the whole thing,
Yeah,
like that is what the community should be.
100%,
And of course,
100%.
and so many of us immediately upon hearing it, like even in the comments, it was like, oh, I was waiting for the bad for the
Oh, I was waiting.
never
Yeah.
did, because it's like, yeah, like in the fact that we have like that like oh no, this is
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go bad, is like indicative of the like horror stories in the space, when it should be those good things.
it should be, and that's
That
what I
young
feel.
lady is gonna
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, but that's to say, it's like, and that's why it's always dangerous when you're working. It's like I don't know what groups to suggest to you, because at the same time, it's like the group that I think could be good might have bad actors within that. You just never know what other thing. It's like, and because it was a person that she was new to it all, but really excited and want to learn. And those are the kind of people, right, that I'm like, oh, you are wanting to get into the hobby. You don't know anything about it, but it seems interesting. So I want you to have the best experience possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that way
your
you
first
keep coming back.
experience,
Okay,
exactly.
color.
it sets a tone. Sometimes it sets such a bad tone that you don't ever come back, and then other times it sets a tone of like, okay, so I get this, I really like it, but this is just how it is. Okay, I'll put up with something like shitty. And it's like, no, 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 you deserve a great first time where you're respected, you're listened to, and you have a good time so that you know what is acceptable and is not
Mm-hmm.
acceptable in this hobby.
Mm-hmm. That's like I just saw a TikTok where it was like, what happens if someone in your group is like going off on their own and stealing from the paladin in the group and doing all these things? And of course it's like, well, you need to have a talk with this person. And of course the stitch with it was, but this would have all been handled in a session 0. Like, this is why session 0s are so important. You probably wouldn't have to have had the conversation 5 sessions in if at session 0 you just said, hey, we're not stealing from everybody. We're not doing the lone person. We're not da 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 da.
And if you had the conversation they still did, it'd be like, hey, we had this conversation, we were all there. Like, you need to shape up, or we're gonna have to like do something else. Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's
mhm.
yeah, all that stuff. I've been really saddened, but also glad I can bring it to people. So I've been running a lot of my game at conventions. So of course, convention play, I'm just like, hey, straight up, here's our lines and veils. Here are, our safety tools and all that kind of stuff. But how many times I've sat at a table and like, do people know what lines and veils are? Do people know what safety tools are? 90% of tables have been like, no, we don't know what that is. I'm just like, oh my God. Which either we're chronically online or this needs a bigger message, to be honest, and how important it is. Because
Could be both. Could be a little bit of both.
yeah, a lot of people play within just the same 5 people.
Yeah,
And
no, exactly.
yeah, it is what it is, though. So what have you been up to other than fucking monsters?
I wish I was fucking monsters. What have I been up to? Man. Let's see. Of course, I run my paid games 3 times a week. I'm thinking about one, I'm trying to get this Friday game filled up, but it's I might have to switch out what the campaign is.
Mm.
Um let's see. What else am I doing? I'm writing a lot. I'm doing more like me and a buddy are working on like a giant supplement
Okay.
right now that I'm excited about. Really wanted to turn giant fights into more like Shadow of the Colossus style fights and
Ooh,
stuff.
okay. Yeah.
So like
Proper
one,
giants. Yeah.
yeah, one making more giants that are in lower CRs as well, because I think if you're in tier 1 of play, which is 1 to 4, you should have some giants in that's like a hard fight for you.
Are hill giants not?
But I think hill giants, hold on.
I think hill giants might be in that first tier. They used to be.
Let's see.
I haven't kept up with 5th edition, so I don't know. But I remember
Hill giant. Okay, so hill giants are challenge rating 5, right? So for, let's say, hold on, kobold fight club. Let's pull this up real quick. So if you get your, let's see, 1 4, the hill giant itself might be for let's say 4 level parties. By the by, okay. So the hill giant itself, with like 4 level players, is a hard encounter. But we thought like every single type of giant should have like, you
oh
could
yeah,
find them
yeah.
in every single tier kind
Okay.
of things. And then the like tier 4, the CR 17 and higher becomes like a bigger, like, think Mythic Odyssey of Theros style guy.
Yeah.
But all of them, from like, as long as they're large or bigger, they have like Shadow of the Colossus. Like, hey, you can climb up them. Here's the DC. Here's how much damage you take if you fall. Here's here's like, if you hit them here or here, like, oh, if you hit them in one knee, if you like cut out the back of the knee, the movement speed is halved. If you cut out both, they've got 0 movement and they're just kind of on their knees
Right.
at this point. They can still fight. Exactly. Like, if you like stab them in the back of the neck, through the mouth, like, hey, depending on how much damage you've done there, like, they'll have disadvantage on any verbal component spells for whatever.
For
If you completely
sure.
obliterate it, they can't cast any more spells that require verbal component, like climbing rules, falling rules, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so working
I
on
like
that.
that. Yeah. Well, it sounds like to
And
me you just need to make a Shadow of the Colossus game, and that's it. And with all new rules, thank you, please and thank you. You heard it here, folks. VJ, he's making a brand new game, Shadow of the Colossus. All brand new rules.
oh boy, oh boy. All right, you know what?
Clip it.
What else am I doing? Let's see. I'm doing that. Me and my buddy Diana, we're working on a game treatment to hopefully get picked up by Hunters Entertainment. We pitched it at Gen Con last year, and now we were like slowly but surely working through it. It's called Fleeting Moments.
Okay.
It's it's a queer little sad western. Unfortunately, homophobia is real in this setting.
Okay.
I say that and I think about it sometimes because I'm very much on the record of saying, hey, you don't need bigotry in your games outside of very specific circumstances, which my circumstances are like education. But then I was like, I like sad games. Like think Brokeback Mountain vibes. So I was
Yeah.
like, damn, maybe homophobia does have a place in games sometimes.
Well, it's like
Maybe.
Bluebeard's Bride, right? Is a
Yeah.
game that that explicitly says, look, like your standard D&D games, probably, hey, 99% of the time we don't need it. But if that's what the game is about, if that's what you want to work through, and if you are of that group, that you understand the ins and outs of it, absolutely 100%. That reminds me of, I was working on an actual play, a Cypher System actual play several years ago, and one of my good friends, trans femme, she was like, hey, I want this character, this NPC who we've established as my mother, to dead name me, and I want to play through this stuff, these things that she deals with. And I talked with my partner for a bit. I was like, I'll think about it. And I was like, I don't know if me as a cis male game runner is the right person to help facilitate that story with you. Because I don't know the ins and outs and the intricacy, and I may think I'm portraying this correctly, and we may cause more harm than good. And if even if it was like, I was thinking about it as like, even if I said, yeah, we're going to do this, do you know how many disclaimers before that episode I would have to, I probably would have been like, sit down, it's one of those after school specials kind of episodes where,
hey folks,
before this episode, we have talked together. We are telling this story. We are fully aware these are the things that we're dealing with. And me as a GM will be saying things and doing things with explicit consent from the player. I abhor everything that's being, it's like, but I'd be like, I would hate to have had to do that. Like, that just seems like way too much.
Yeah.
And like and then it goes back to like we've talked about. It just, is that then necessary in a game? I don't, and I was like, yeah, that just becomes unnecessary. And like, do you want to make me throw up during the middle of a game?
Yeah, no, that's like been pretty much which, mind you, like stuff like the Call of Cthulhu, like the Harlem one that was made, Bluebeard's Bride, like I've never I've been on the record like, hey, I don't think it's necessary, but for any person of color or anyone with a marginalized identity or whatnot that wants to work through things and make a game about that, I'm never going to tell you you're wrong to do that. I just don't. What I think is necessary does not automatically make if you do it wrong.
Sure.
So I was always just trying to be very clear about that, because I never want to like denigrate the work of somebody with an identity they're making a game to kind of work through stuff, or like et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I always thought like I'm not gonna do or make anything that has to do with like that. Like the closest I've gotten is like my Hunt RPG game, which that's another thing. I'm planning on reworking that. It's like it's a game of dealing with with possibly plunging into addiction, and then how it turns you into a complete monster, which I like. That's obviously not the case for every addict, but it's certainly like Like,
Mhm.
it's a thing. And like that's kind of the closest I've gotten to writing anything close to that. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not gonna go any further than that. And then there's fleeting moments. And I was like, damn, there actually has to be homophobia here because homophobia is one of the reasons why they don't end up together at the end.
Oh,
So
so yeah, it's a balance. It's
hmm
yeah, that
hmm
where I have just, come down to it, it's like, I just go, not will probably not probably, it will never be my stories to ever tell. Like, I can look in a mirror and go, "Nope, not here,"
Not
and
me.
that's okay.
Mhm.
Um, and I learned that lesson the quickest, the most, um, succinctly was years ago. I was doing a we did an actual play, 4-part actual play, and I was doing Cypher System, and I offered this, oh, my camera. No! I look silly. Not now, not during this. My god. We're not letting there we
That's funny.
go. And I offered, like, "Oh, it could be this cyberpunk, um, futuristic thing here in the US where there was it a there's the Mississippi fault line. There's this fault line that goes right through the Mississippi River."
hmm
And what they're like, "Hey, the last time that thing went, the Mississippi River flowed backwards for like 3 days. It is a fault line waiting to just absolutely take things out."
Damn.
The camera strikes again. And I was like, "Oh, in this world that it does go out and floods out New Orleans completely, and this they rebuild this new Venice kind of thing. So it's like New Orleans. What if New Orleans became this kind of Venice with canals?"
hmm hmm
And I was like, biggest OP. And I was like, "What do y'all think of that?" And it was Barnaby, and Barnaby was real quiet. And I was like, "Well, is that?" And Barnaby's like, "Well, I'm looking at my friends here, and basically, Black TikTok is like, can we just leave New Orleans alone?" And I'm like, "You're not wrong. Holy crap, that is, yep." Talk about another setting that I just went, "Never again. You're dead. Bye bye." But it's made me even that much more conscious about
hmm
all of my storytelling and like
hmm
especially when you're dealing with the U.S. Like, well, what am I dealing with here?
Oh yeah, exactly.
What's the history here?
hmm
Let's be careful. Let me, yeah,
Tread lightly is the
yeah.
feeling.
Especially because I love the Old West as a genre, and it is
hmm
laden with the worst of like all of this stuff together, and just like, why is one of my favorite genres and like themes
So
just
bad.
the absolute
Shitty as hell.
worst?
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I understand the desire to be honest with the time period. You know what I mean? If you're
mhm,
the same way, like as much as you love that genre and that style, it's like, you don't want to be dishonest about what's happening there, but at the same time,
mhm.
it's a game, and we don't need all these things in our game. So that's why I probably don't do too much with it, because I just kind of, I don't know. What do you feel about it when?
It's God. So okay, so for example, me and my buddy Mason, we made a Wild West Domain of Dread, which is getting a relaunch since we're tweaking some things on the DM Scout.
Okay.
And we explicitly we added like a Native American group into
Mhm.
it. We brought on like um Native American indigenous like sensitivity consultants to like
Mhm.
check it out for us to make sure we were writing it correctly, giving the group like a respectful name, et cetera, et cetera. But we didn't include any of the bigotry. We were like,
Okay.
okay, we can't leave out the people, but we
Sure.
can leave out the bigotry, even though like it's not honest to the like
I
setting,
see
but
what you're
also it's
saying.
like this is yeah, it was like this is D&D. I was like, actually, we're not gonna put that in there. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Versus
yeah, yeah.
fleeting moments, I think we're still leaving out the like um so I think the most racism that there's going to be is the fact that like the supernatural, like if you're supernatural, you are treated differently. You are treated kind
Mhm.
of poorly. And of course, there is the homophobia in there, even though like the West had like a strange mixture of like acceptance and homophobia during the time because like the
Sure.
cowboy culture and stuff like within a subsect of it. And so I think while um wanting to tell authentic stories, it's okay
Mhm.
to kind of take and give in some parts, right? Like
Yeah, no, no,
there's
that makes sense.
yeah, there's a
Mhm.
time to give the full-fledged outfit, and then there's a time to chop it up, just
No, yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
like, what
mhm.
what story does this yeah. What are we
Yeah,
actually trying to do
exactly.
here?
Exactly. And mind you, some like one of the reasons why I was like, I don't need it for D&D is because of the community at large, right? Not the like just the general. You never know who's going to pick it up. So it's like if they pick this up, I don't want them like replicating real world racism based off of something that's actually in the book. I can't stop them if they
Sure.
do it on their own,
But you don't
but
wanna give
I
them the
don't have
tools.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to give
yeah,
that
yeah.
to them. I don't have to like enable them saying like racial slurs to the indigenous population or some other shit.
Yeah.
Mhm,
I put
mhm.
in I have a sticker that I put in my books, and it says, "No fascists allowed." So, it's like, those are kind of things like, yeah, just put this, "No fascists, no this." Obviously, you can't stop them from picking up the book, but at
Yeah,
least
but
it makes it
they'll
explicit.
know immediately. Like,
Yeah,
hey, fuck off.
yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
We don't need this shit. Oh my god. Well, I can't wait to, read those when you, put them out, or the updates. Even though I'm not 5e person anymore, I'll still give them. I'll still give them a read.
We'll shoot you over a copy, friend.
Yeah. I,
Every day is a good day to punch a fascist. Agreed.
that's true. That's true. I use my powers at work for evil. I say good, but others will say evil as people come up to our RPG section and they're looking at stuff, and I go, "Hey, you looking for anything in particular?" "Oh, just kind of browsing." And I'm like, "Have you looked at this other game over here?" If they ask for like a recommend, because a lot of times people will be like, "Can I get a game that's like a magical school thing, but
Mhm.
5e?" I'm like, "All right, here's Strixhaven.
Ah,
Go away."
here, take it and go.
take,
Leave.
take your D&D book and leave. Man, that monster book, alternative cover flew off the shelves at work. You got yours?
As it fucking should. Look at this man.
It
Look
is
genderless. That's my husband.
Kids on Brims right there.
Is right there. That's my boy. My
Yes.
husband, genderless. Whatever gender my spouse here. That's my spouse
I don't do mine. I
right
don't
here.
think mind flares. They are not binary, wouldn't they be? I don't think they
I think
have
the
a.
majority of them probably.
I don't think they have one.
Um,
Smash.
Thank you, Smash. Exactly. You know how some people have married inanimate objects?
Gonna marry that book. There you go.
You know how buck wild it would be if I was like, "Hey, folks, my name's VJ Harris, and I'm gonna marry this book." Now, it's not for the reasons you think. No, I'm not a die-hard D&D 5e fan, even though I'm a creator. I like a lot of different things, specifically because my spouse is on the cover and we have to get married.
It's 100%.
My fiance is on the cover.
Will the Monster Manual take your last name, Monster Manual Harris?
No, no, no. We'll keep our own last
Oh,
names,
okay.
actually.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Passport, birth certificate stuff, gotta keep that
Yeah.
the
What
same.
that whole process. You want to talk about, because for no reason whatsoever, we just decided as a family that maybe updating our passports just for funsies.
Yeah, no
No
reason.
alternative motives whatsoever. Um the amount of stuff you have to go through
Mhm,
is wild.
mhm,
Um
mhm,
we are getting one for our young daughter, and we both have to be there. Even though me and my fiance are not married, they're like, both parents have to be there. And I'm like, well,
mhm,
what if you had a situation where one of the parents isn't around anymore? Like, I'm sure there's some waivers, or there's got to be. With the amount of stuff you have, the amount of documents, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, by the way, these can't be originals, these have to be copies, you have to have just so much garbage. I'm like, this is wild. And the amount of Hispanic families that were in line when we were there, I'm like,
Mhm.
truth, absolutely you
Mhm.
should.
Yep.
Get
Yep. Makes so much fucking
out.
sense. And I am glad that they have such a like detailed process for a kid, at least when it comes to the parents, because you never know. Like one parent might be doing some shady shit. So I'm glad there's a little bit of safeguards there, but it is a lot of
And that was,
paperwork.
yeah, that was my first question. Like, why do both need to be there? And somebody's like, in case one parent is not trying to, like you were saying, alluding to,
Hmm.
take off to wherever. All
Hmm.
right, that makes sense. But it's such a hassle for me.
It is.
But it makes it a
You,
hassle for
a
me.
parent that's not trying to do that, it is a hassle for you.
Yeah, you've ruined it for everybody.
Ugh.
Oh my god, it's just terribleness. Any rate, this is a cozy chat. No, none of that. We get away from all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Um, man, it's it's been a wild experience though through TikTok to meet such great people like yourself, and but there be this strange like I know parts of these people, but
Hmm.
that's it. But here I've learned like, oh, here's your cool degree, and like here's what you were planning on doing, and that's perfect. This is I'm excited that these chats have happened and
And
that
I
people
like this. I'm glad you
agree.
asked me, and I'm
Yeah,
glad we could hop into it, honestly.
yeah.
Which, mind you, you're eating into my Dragon Age 2 time. I need to let you know that. So I
Oh,
picked you over Dragon Age. So
all right. So I gotta know Dragon Age versus Baldur's Gate 3.
okay, are you asking about Veilguard or are you asking about Dragon Age in general?
Oh, all right. So I'm a Dragon Age Origins girly, and I think everything else was terrible after that.
Oh, I hated Origins.
Origins is the best.
I
It was
hated okay,
so bad after that. Let's fight.
hate
Here we
is
go.
such a hate is a strong word. I didn't hate Origins, but like I got so bored at certain points with the fighting that I was like, let me just add cheat codes so I could just kill the guys that I don't want to deal with.
Okay.
Um um yeah, so like I think it has a good story. I'm excited to go back to the DLC, the one where like you go and
Dead
find
Shale.
Morgan and you're
Okay.
because I slept with my because I romanced her. It was like, that's my girl. And I was like, I'm gonna go find you. I'm excited to go back to that. And also my buddy James, who is a Dragon Age girly, like the way I'm a Mind Flayer girly, was like, you have to replay it and get Zevran in your party because I killed him. He attacked
Mm.
me and I killed him. I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's go. I'm about it. And it was like, you have to go. And I was like, oh, all right, fine. I'll go. So I've got to replay it, but I'm gonna be real. Dragon Age 2 is where it is like. So I played Veilguard,
Oh,
played
all
Veilguard
right.
first, and then I did Origins, and now I'm in Dragon Age 2. I'm in the third act. I just finished the Memento of Legacy. I'm gonna go
Okay.
do Mark of the Assassin um next before I do any more like main storyline
Okay.
stuff. And right now, Dragon Age 2 is my like
Wow, that's I because it took to
favorite.
me everything that was great about Origins and just stabbed it, threw it in a dumpster behind a dirty back alleyway. Because like Origins, and maybe it was the way I played Origins, right? I played all the opening scenarios, all the combinations of the opening scenarios before choosing my main game.
Mm.
So I played all, I think six or whatever. I think it's six or nine or something like that. And I
Mm.
played them all, and then I was like, okay, I liked the Human Noble, I think is who I went with. Because it was like my uh tank build.
Yeah.
If you do it that way, when you go back and visit all the areas where the starting classes were, you see the outcome of those stories
Mm.
past the point of where it ended for you.
Mhm,
So it was
mhm.
really cool to be like, oh, I recognize what is happening right now because I played that starting point. It's like when you go back to the
Mhm.
dwarves, you find out, like, you went there and they're like, oh, yeah, there was a coup. amongst the nobles here, and
Mhm.
but we killed the whatever his name's son. Well, the son that they kill is the character you play in the origin that gets away. So you're like, that was my character, y'all. I think they killed him or something like that. But so it was really cool to see. I was like, oh, or it's like, oh, there was these what are the elves that were um I guess all elves have the tattoo, right? And
Uh,
it's been a while.
maybe? I can't remember. I didn't have any elves in my party, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, anyway, so that's why I really enjoyed it. And then when you get to Dragon Age 2, there's like, here is your character. And I just like, no,
I see.
I want my character. And that's so like Baldur's Gate 3 is that way, right?
Mhm,
I am the character. I make the choices and the
mm,
dialogue choices and see the outcome where it feels very restrictive in the way
mhm,
um
mhm,
and I blame Mass Effect. It's all Mass Effect's fault
mm,
because Mass Effect,
mm,
the first one, right, was here's Commander Shepard, and it's all very that tight of a story. And
mhm,
so when
mhm.
Dragon Age 2 came out after Mass Effect, which was super popular, they went, "Oh, we need to do it the way Mass Effect did it instead of staying true to the Dragon Age formula." So,
Um,
but I get it. Yeah.
I've never played Mass Effect yet. I bought the bundle
Okay.
that they had on Steam, so I'll get to it eventually. One of my exes loves the game, and it's been telling me like, "Hey, you have to play it," but well, I haven't played it yet. But you know what? Understanding what you liked about Origins, I can understand why you think the rest of them kind of suck ass. I
Yeah.
can get behind that actually, honestly. Um, no, that makes a lot of sense. But
Yeah.
like right now, Dragon Age 2 is what's
Okay.
like
Over Baldur's Gate 3?
here's the thing. I never got out of Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3. And so
Okay.
simply for like now, mind you, I do have like one of the reasons why I'm like going through all of the Dragon Age outside of like is because I wanted to do my VJ Talks podcast did a Dragon Age episode with James and Super Dylan,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I wanted to do a part two with James, Super Dylan, and another special guest who will be announced at a later date. And so I was like, actually, I'm gonna play all of the games so
Okay.
that when I'm in this, I can have I can join the combo in a way of like a player who's played all of it.
Sure.
And so that's one of the reasons why I'm going through all of it, right? But even outside of that, I would finish Dragon Age 2 because I like the game.
That's good.
Um
Okay.
and mind you, I don't dislike Baldur's Gate 3. I just haven't gotten out of the first act. So like on that criteria,
Yeah.
it's got to be Dragon Age 2 right now
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
Veilguard
I mean, to be fair with Baldur's Gate 3, I haven't gotten past I've met Will. That's as far into that game as I've gotten. And I
worse than me.
yeah, I just and it partially I was playing I forget what part it was where it was like they made me to do a roll that I could
Mhm.
only fail if I rolled a 2 or like a 1. But they gave me a +1 on the roll. And I was just like, "Why did you have me roll at all?" And it was some mind flare, like,
Mhm. You should have
whatever.
just succeeded at that point.
Right, and it was so I'm faulting Baldur's Gate because it's built on the D&D mechanics more than I think the game itself. And it's
Mhm.
one of those situations where, because 'cause I've played Divinity: Original Sin, which is also
Mhm.
Larian, and it's such a tighter we're dividing the mechanics specifically for this game instead of having to do it the other way around, whatever. But
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
it is what it is, and also my computer really chugs. My little laptop just has the textures
Mhm.
pop in. There'll be like nothing happening, and all of a sudden my hair will pop in during a scene, some conversation. And I'm like, "Why this isn't the game for me?" I mean, you should try out if you like these games. I got some other ones for you. Planescape Numenera, Planescape.
Like video games?
Yeah. These are all similar style, right? In that it's a branching conversation tree with NPCs that you meet, and a lot of decision branching that you have to be like, well, and a lot of it is like this combat could potentially be solved not through violence, but through either diplomacy or whatever. Yes, the Penny has a good one. The Shadowrun. It's Shadowrun Dragonfall, and they had a second one. They're all isometric, so they're not as like fully immersive as these other games are.
Ooh.
But Shadowrun Daggerfall or Dragonfall.
Ooh.
So, do you know anything about Shadowrun? Are you familiar with that setting at all?
Vaguely, so vaguely.
Are you ready for me to just nerd out?
Okay, before you do that, Dragonfall's like $4 right now.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
They're not expensive because they were AA studios.
I'll put this in my cart. All right, please continue.
Yeah, so Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Hong Kong, and Shadowrun Dragonfall are the games. There you go. Shadowrun Returns, that's the one I started with. So here's a history lesson for everybody paying. I actually now work with a guy who worked on Shadowrun 3rd edition, the TTRPG. And we were chatting, having a good time. Shadowrun came out in the 1980s. It was being developed at the same time as Cyberpunk, Pondsmith's Cyberpunk. Pondsmith got his game out before they did. And they were like, "Oh shit. What are we going to do? Add trolls and orcs and elves and magic to it." And that's how they differentiated their game from Cyberpunk. Because originally it was supposed to be just a straight like Cyberpunk-esque game where you play these characters called Shadowrunners that get hired by corporations to go and murk people and steal data. But Shadowrun, I guess, to differentiate itself, for like, oh, well, how about we take the idea of the Mayan calendar that the world ends in 2012. What actually happened is magic returned to the world, so it was the end of the 5th age and beginning of the 6th age. So when magic returned to the world, humanoids began to take on their true forms. So a lot of people had latent dwarven and elven genes and orc and troll genes. So they're all humans. They're all just true. Like when we use the word species, it's like, no, they're true independent species of each other. They're meta-humanity. Oh, but also there's cyberware and the Matrix. And then and the history is really cool. At least it's problematic, obviously, because it's 1980s. And I can see some of the issues.
Problematic in the 1980s, you know.
But they do have the idea that a lot of the Native American tribes, basically the Great Ghost Dance, and they take back what's theirs and they just basically take back the Midwest of the U.S. and just like ours, baby. Check it out. Our magic works again, and fuck you. In particular, U.S. Exactly.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah. So it's really cool. It has this really cool mix of the cyberpunk with the. I'm gonna make a cyberpunk game with like vampires and fairies and shit, because why not? Hey, there's vampires in Shadowrun, and it is a disease. It is a true vampirism, like contracted disease in that game. Any rate, what we were talking about. Shadowrun. Check it out. It's a good game. It's a good RPG.
I put the Shadowrun dragon in my thing. The other two not quite on sale. I'll keep an eye out for those.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you need returns. I think they might be all standalone. Double check.
Like it.
Yeah. Okay. I want you to double check. Make sure you didn't have to buy one to have them all. But They're fun. I don't think they'll be as queer, at least what I remember being. They're, you know, that is, I can definitely see the draw of these games. They're just like, hey, get your polycule and go go
Okay,
slay
but hold on a second.
dragons.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You don't get to have your polycule unless one, you add cheat codes, or two, you pick the right person. See, that's the problem. That's the
Oh.
problem with these games. That's the one problem with these games. There should be more polyamory. Dragon Age, Veilguard, I should get to romance everybody that I want to romance in one run. Thank you very much. Um Baldur's Gate 3, I okay. Baldur's Gate 3 gets a little bit of a pass because there are people that I can be polyamorous with, and it's fine.
Okay.
It's at least in there, and I can and like I'm not against the idea of like certain people are like, yeah, I'm not into polyamory. Okay, that's fine. The Baldur's Gate 3 gets a little bit of a pass, but the other ones, like for example, Dragon Age 2, I wanted to romance Anders, Isabella, and Fenris. And so you know what I did? I found a polyamory mod, and now I'm romancing all three of them, and they have the funniest dialogue when I bring them out with each other.
Do they add new dialogue?
So here's the thing. Like, I think you can sleep with all three of them before solidifying a relationship.
Okay.
And so like they have the dialogue in there, but because the game like recognizes like I think the mod might add a little bit more to it, not a lot, but like they do have lines of like for example, I went when I did Memento of Legacy,
Mhm.
and we were talking about the Carta attacking. Here's Anders who moved into the house with me. It's like I'm worried about them getting to you, and here Isabella's like, what if I'm naked at your house? I don't want to. And Fenris and I aren't actually sleeping together right now because Fenris was like, I can't do this, and I was like, okay, all right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they've got like.
I love it.
Mhm,
Let
mhm.
Oh, I saw, yeah, it's like how people are with Veilguard. Because I know that they added the non-binary, or no, the was it non-binary or trans character? And
Uh, Tosh is non-binary. Yeah.
okay. And I saw somebody was like, "They're forcing this on me," and it's like, no, you can make choices, and
Yeah. Also,
you
there's a
know.
shit ton of trans NPCs in that game. Like
No, really.
so many. Like when I say so many, so many.
All right.
There's like at least two or three of them in the shadow guys.
I don't know.
God, what are their names? There's at least two or three of them in the shadows. The Grey Wardens have a non-binary guy NPC in there that you help out. Like, there's a bunch of like.
Okay.
I was like,
All right.
damn, damn. There was there was one person, Mayveris, who I
Okay.
misunderstood what was like when I first listened, and then I played it again. I was like, oh, you're trans because here's the thing, because Mayveris got her father's like magister seat, and Mayveris says to you, "Yeah, they were expecting a son." And I was like, "Wait, were they expecting your father to give your seat to your brother?" Like my brain didn't put two
Put
and two
it
together
together.
until like, oh, oh,
Oh, whoa.
trans, yay!
That's a good. I'm gonna steal some of your consultancy work, and you can tell me to fuck off if not. But this leads me to a good, because there's a lot of times I have characters in my
Okay, wait,
game.
wait, wait. Before we go any further, it's gonna be $300 every minute because it's Black History Month.
So I really like the game. Uh, I will. I'm not gonna ask for your advice, but I will. I'll pose it this way. I lots of times do include non-binary and trans characters in my games, but then I'm like, I want the players to know
Mm-hmm.
without like explicitly having to say it or dead name or like ham fist it in some way. It's always one of those things. I'm always trying to find a good way to let players know, because I'll have it in my notes in the NPC sheet, and then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be their identity, right? You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be all who they are.
So
It's just one aspect, and I don't know. That's always been a
So here's the thing that happens to me. It's twofold, right? First, when I introduce NPCs, like typically I'll describe them and then I'll just let the players know the character's pronouns just right off the bat. Second, in all of my paid games at least, and my non-paid stuff, I have a section called NPC chat in the Discord where I'll
mm,
like drop face claims and I'll name pronouns and where you met them. Like so
okay,
I kind of and mind you, I do the pronouns with every single character,
sure,
regardless of their gender. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like I'm singling out any like trans characters or whatnot. So it's
yeah.
very much like, hey, here's Matthias uses he/him pronouns. He's kind of tall, rugged, like in the description, so that it's like, okay, the players know,
Mhm,
even if the characters never get that like in character information.
that's fair. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because
Hmm.
I do, I just like I don't want to be like. And by the way, you find a picture. For some reason, their family album of picture books is behind them, and you rifle through it, and like,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know,
Or if they're being nosy, if or for some reason I've forgotten to do it and they're being nosy, I might be like, hey, yeah, no, you found
that's true.
an album of them, and you can watch the progression of them from this person to that person.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But a lot of times, it's like
Hmm.
there's no reason for it to come up, and that's fine. And that's I'm not saying that I like, yeah, I need a reason, but I don't know. It's always one of the things I like to have it all represented, but not
Hmm.
everything is readily apparent. So
Hmm. Hmm.
it
Hmm.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, oh life.
Can you still
I
hear me? Okay.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Okay, perfect. I've
Yeah,
repositioned to be a little bit cozier,
man.
further away from
I tell you what, I'm jealous of you and like DJ who all got these paid games. I had 9 games.
Ugh.
All of them eventually got taken down by Start Playing because they're just like, "Hey, buddy, we
Start
love,"
playing took it down.
because they were like, they basically have a limit for how long that game can stay there empty for X number of weeks until finally it's like, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and delist your game because no one has signed up for it," which is
Oh
legit. Like I
no.
don't
Like it's
fault.
legit. I just didn't know they did that.
Yeah, but yeah, you've never. Well, let me tell you, from someone who's never 9. And granted, they were, well, no, because I had like 6 of them, or I tried to do half and half or thereabouts, where half was like Cypher System and half was D&D. Because I was
Mhm.
biting the bullet. I'm like, people want to play 5th edition, fine. I'll
Mhm.
do. And
Mhm.
it's just like, okay, well, either the times I have, people don't want to, and I try to choose like, here's when people normally want to play it, all of it. Oh well.
Mhm. Listen, not here, but like maybe shoot me with the if you still have the copy for it, because I got to start playing because somebody was doing a thing. They're like, hey, if you got a marginalized identity, come join this cohort to like
Yeah.
help you get paid and run games. And I have like since the advice that I got was really useful, and then I've given it to other people as well, like other friends. So if you want to give it another try, just shoot me with your like
It
ad copy stuff looked like, and I'm
at
happy to be like, hey.
Yeah, at this point, I don't have the time anymore. It was when I got laid off and I was in between work, so I was trying to like, well, I
Gotcha.
have nothing but free time, so I
Mm-hmm,
might as well. But now
mm-hmm,
I've got so much other stuff that,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
but yeah, I was trying to. I followed like DJ's his thing set up because it's like you're trying to, from our perspective, right? Hey, yes, I understand. I look like your standard cis white male, but I am trying to make this an inclusive and safe
mm-hmm,
space. So here's all the details and clues I can put into the copy to let you know that that's going to be that case. But
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was probably just the games. Because do you know Jack Panic? You're familiar with Jack Dungeon Club?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Talking with him is that he's like, oh, I just take like Strahd, Curse of Strahd, the popular thing, but then he's like, but I'll set it in the Old West, or
Mm.
they take things, and it's like we put an interesting twist on it, and that's how he gets most of his players, because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's the Strahd game I recognize, but it's gonna be unique. Or if I've
Mhm.
played Strahd before, oh cool, this will be a interesting twist on it that I can play this scenario again. And
No, yeah, that's honestly, yeah. I like my when I first got started, I had 3 games. It was Curse of Strahd, my Curse of Strahd meets Spelljammer, like kind of Redux kind of vibes going on.
Mhm.
It was Exandria Tales of War, which was
Okay,
Exandria, the Critical Role, like using that fame, but it was like a homebrew campaign.
sure.
And then it was Tyranny of Dragons. And I got those games filled and I got players. And now let's see, I'm still running the Curse of Strahd game on Tuesdays. Thursdays now I'm running it with like players that had played with me previously in my homebrew setting
Okay.
for a homebrew campaign. And then Fridays, hopefully it's my Exandria game, but I haven't been able to get anybody get like I had players and then they had to leave for various reasons. And so
Yep, know
I'll
that one.
probably have to swap it up because it's in Exandria, but it is a like original story.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
which mind you, I actually have to do like a concentrated push to advertise it, which is the plan. I'm glad you're taking notes. Which is the plan, but after that like concentrated push of like 2 weeks or so, and if it's
Mhm.
not, I'm like, okay, let's change it. Personally, you know what's real like here's the thing. I want to run the game because there's no way I can publish the game because it's based on the Exandria setting and I don't have the rights to that.
Sure.
But I really want the game to be out there. Like it's a mostly 17th level game, right? But like
Wow.
yeah. So like the premise here is when the mad god Tharizdun was chased by Pelor, some of his essence fell into the sea and clung onto a kraken. So of
Okay.
course that turns that thing into something horrific, and it's been sleeping this whole time. It is awake now, and like your 17th level characters are dealing with that,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But like before and after every arc with your 17th level guys, you pop down to lower level characters to deal with the calamity. So for example, when we were doing the first one was
Mhm.
the setup for this, right? Like I don't know if any of my players are, yeah, that's fine. I don't think any of my players are here, but it'll be fine. Hey, if you're in the Sign of
Here,
Oblivion game, don't watch this, I guess.
when I posted to
Anyway.
YouTube, hold on, what's the time code? 111. I'll cut it out. I'll also cut it out of the YouTube.
Nah, it's fine. They'll be fine. So like the first camp, they were pirates that were typically hired on to be a part of other crews and stuff. Like they were like, just the extra muscle. And they got hired by the Dragon Turtle captain because her crew members were disappearing and being killed. And what it was, the captain, left like the crew left another smaller section of the crew to like be captured and killed by the
Mhm.
Clovis Accords or whatever. And so one of them turned into a revenant and it was going around killing everybody. Yeah, and so the
Love
players were
revenants.
hired to kill her, but instead helped her, killed everybody, and her, the Revenant, was like, "Hey, I can tell you about such and such treasure," right? Which was like millions and millions of gold. So they go and find the treasure, and mind you, one of the players is playing a warlock for like the ocean one, like the depths one,
Okay.
and they get down there, right?
Mhm.
And they do find the treasure, and then massive tentacles reach out and kill or like infect them, and then the one player that had like the depths warlock
Yeah.
is like is like tied to the BBEG.
Yeah.
And so that sets that up. And then we jump ahead like some months or years or whatever after that. And it's the 17th level players. They're meeting the Tal'Dorei Council because now, I love mind flayers.
Mhm.
The premise here is they found an ancient mind flayer like structure
Okay.
underneath a small town. And it was like my idea of mind flayers, like also it's like kind of they're not just my idea, but also it's like kind of in the lore. We're probably from the future, right?
Okay.
And so it's like I took the dark matter sci-fi 5e setting
Okay.
and I was like, hey, so you find this kind of stuff down there, you get some abilities and some things, and they're showing this to the Tal'Dorei Council and whatnot, and Keyleth of the Arashari, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. They're showing it to them. And then when they're there, one of the massive tentacles dripping with ichor and having like turned a bunch of people into like sea abominations
Mhm.
attacks the place. transforms some of the Mighty Nine, no, some of Vox Machina, and now they have to deal with that.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
that's they got to deal with that and
Dagger, dagger, dagger.
other stuff happening. Yeah. Exactly, right? Um, so like, God, just the thought of the event, like I
Yeah.
like because you don't get a lot of high level, like most people don't get to high level.
No.
So I was like, okay, you're just gonna have high level characters we bounce back and forth from at the
Sure.
start, and then if you want to do low level stuff, we'll do low level stuff
Yeah.
too, you know. But I
That's really good.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't. I need at least one other player for it to be like worth the money.
And then for you to produce it, hey, Matt, Critical Role gang,
Hey, can
Darrington Press.
please.
You gotta write it right here. Let's do it.
Like literally, Darrington Press. If you're listening to me right now, this could be this could be AU Tales in Exandria. This doesn't have to be factual. Fact in another universe. This is what happened.
Just
like,
let it print. That's amazing though.
God, I do wish Exandria was under the DM's Guild. So, like, come on.
Just give it to me.
God, I could strip it down from that.
Yeah,
and,
but it loses.
Yeah, I want like. I might. I don't know. We'll see.
You just find ways to file the serial numbers off of it.
Yeah. And mind you, I probably would wind up writing like making a setting for it. So just maybe we'll see.
That'd be good. I did something similar when I was taking a group. This was years ago, right at the OGL kerfuffle. When I was like, I had a game I was running for in 5e, and I was like, this is kind of it. We're tailing off from this. Hey, do y'all want to check out Pathfinder 2e? They're like, yeah. I was like, let's make new characters, and we're going to pop over to a different part of the world and do a scenario there. And I use it as a vehicle to show how one of the gods got killed. So they are there at that battle and watch this god get nuked. And they're all just like, what? And we popped back to their characters, who a couple of weeks later hear the news, and they were just like, this, it was a really great way to show, like, hey, I want to instead of you just hearing about the event, let's be there even as these characters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's such
exactly.
It's such a great, like you're saying, it's such a great way to be like, oh, I want to, instead of just the news, let's get into it. And I love that idea. It's like, especially it's like, oh, you're gonna play these little characters that I'm gonna kill off, that your other characters will come back later to have to be like, oh, there's
or maybe they'll survive. Who's to say? Like,
that's true.
If I get one more player, I'm starting them off as second level guards in the town of Felderwin, and there are fire giants that come down.
Okay.
That like they're having to like fight against, and then the creature comes out, like the tentacle, and fights, because as long as it's attached to a body of water, even if it's a creek, can like.
Oh, that's
like,
magically.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And so now the fire giants and the town's guard have to fight together. Otherwise, they're gonna get turned into fucking little abominations, and they might survive that. The fire giants might say, "Okay, well, we're gonna go now. Goodbye.
See ya." Yeah, we did that with. So it was supposed to be a LARP me and my partner were working on. Then the pandemic happened, and we turned it into a Discord server. And it was we were doing like a world. It's a diesel punk fantasy setting. So there are like orcs and trolls and elves and all that kind of stuff, but there's biplanes and there's tanks, and you actually have diesel mages who drive these tanks that use their magic to keep them going, all this kind of stuff. And we were doing this final, like, this is coming to a head. It is a World War event between, again, because my religious trauma, it's the old gods versus the living gods. Or no, sorry, the dreaming gods versus the living gods. So the dreaming gods were the originals that have all gone into a slumber. This is why we don't hear from them anymore. they're all dreaming and sleeping, and we interpret their dreams through our prayers and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Until people started popping up with godlike powers saying, look, the gods are dead. We are now the new living gods. Worship us. We are alive, and we can, and they could bestow powers onto people if they were worshipped, that kind of thing. And so this big war, the War of Reformation, happens.
It's a good name.
And finally, it was one of the living gods was attacking the major city where the game was going to take place, called Dotten Cove. And his name was Kraken Bors, the god of war, metal, blood. War, metal, and blood, I think. And he's doing his thing until what do we end up calling it? Entropy is the big bad of this game, until Entropy shows up and rips him to pieces, and everybody has to gather together to fight Entropy. So that's what stops the World War, when it's like, okay, we need to something much bigger. But it was cool than that.
Let's take a breather.
Yeah. But it was nice. It sets up that, hey, you're in this one city together. You have some people that fought on the side of the Reformation. You have some people fighting on the side of the Allies. Mm-hmm. Now all having to live in this city together and figure out how to get along while dealing with entropy. Mm-hmm. And I do, like you were saying, that's such a great way to bring people together. Here's something far worse and eldritch and...
No. Exactly.
Boom, exactly. See it.
You know what I would deeply love, though? God, I want to do an isekai game. I just want the players dropped into something. Like, while we're sitting here, my brain's like, what if I did a Tales of Barovia, where what if I did a Tales of Barovia where the characters get plopped into wait a minute, Tales of Ravenloft.
Okay. Well, Barovia is the town, right? In Ravenloft.
Barovia's the I think it's the country.
Okay. I don't know anything about.
Like, one of them is Strahd and the other one includes all of the domains of dread. What if it's an isekai game where the players bit by bit get popped through each of the it's them, the actual people get popped into the game, like in a specific spot, either in the story or as like a group of people, and then when they die, because they will die, they get popped out to another place and they keep bouncing back and forth, but they have no idea why they're getting popped. Like, I really like an isekai.
You know what kills me? VJ? As I'm like, my guy, I have the system in the setting to do exactly what you're talking about, that it's not 5e. So it's called The Strange.
Oh, I was going to ask you about to say TTRPG, because I think that would be better for what I was suggesting.
No, well, I think The Strange would be. So The Strange is a cipher system. And basically you would have the players go make yourself using the rules. Mm-hmm. And The Strange is a system where people, they translate to new worlds. And it's basically they physically leave this world, they cease to exist here, and get printed, quote unquote, into the new world and take on the context of the new world, but with their same, they know who they are, but they're like, so for the example, I was playing a character that was like a nerdy computer programmer character. So very intelligent, all that kind of stuff. Then we went into a world that was literally a guy's computer code for an MMO that got printed into a new world. And we translated there, and I became a rock giant. And so a lot of my stats went towards the might as opposed to his intelligence. So on Earth, he's very intelligent. In this other MMO world, he's a very strong, like, slow rock person. That's, to me, like, that fits exactly with what you're talking about, because it's like you keep the character actually keeps a few things consistent, because it's like, look, you're always curious, you're always charming, like that's just innate in who you are, but maybe one of your special abilities turns into something new when you translate into this new world. I've heard games where people went to they're chasing down the bad guy. They translate into it's like, wow, this is kind of like Victoria, England. This is kind of weird. Oh my goodness. We're looking through this room. We're in Sherlock Holmes, like the Sherlock Holmes's bedroom right now, looking for clues. They find a book, and it's the Dark Sun Player's Handbook. They find in Sherlock's room, and they go, "Well, that's where we got to go to next." And then they translate to Dark Sun, and it's just like you can do kind of weird stuff like that. So that's what reminds me of that. But I understand it's learning a whole new system.
I'm learning listen, I'm down to learn whole new systems. I enjoy reading them. I enjoy figuring out what makes them tickets and enjoyment for me.
Yeah.
Also, now that I'm sitting here, I'm like, what if it was an isekai game where you jump from system to system? Just like,
Ooh,
like
that would be.
we start with the D&D in Barovia. Something happens. The next time we jump, we go to fuck. We somehow we're in good society, you know, like
Yeah.
we bounce around.
So there's a game the company I work for now, they publish called Flabbergasted.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to play it, and I think you would love it as well. You play literally a social club, bunch of members in like 1920s like France social club, and you're trying to get one of the members married, and you're trying to fabricate scenarios to woo the partner that they're trying to get. And so like one of the scenarios that was described to me was, all right, we're going to do the classic, we're going to all pretend to be robbing this bank, you're going to show up and stop the robbery and look like the hero. But of course, through roles, the suitor shows up at the wrong bank that's also being robbed, but by real robbers. Thinking I'm here to stop it. Like, and it's one of those games where it's just like shenanigans ensue.
That's funny.
That one sounds like a lot of fun. And if you really want to push the isekai idea even further with that, is you do Fabula Ultima, so you can get the true.
Fabula Ultima.
I have it and I want to play it so bad.
Oh, it's so much fun. My Saturday morning, my every other Saturday morning game, we switch, like we rotate what games we're playing. What happened? Hold on, let me tell you what we played because
I gotta know.
Discord is really well organized, actually. Okay, let's see. So right now we're on Monster of the Week.
Cool.
Previously we've played. What is this? Okay, we did Kids on Bikes.
Cool.
We did Orbital Blues. I made them help me test out Hunt RPG for multiplayer before I but I have to, do the whole rework. How do I click out of this so quickly? Hold on a second. There's other ones in here. Come here. Get over here. So many Discords. Here we go. Let's see. We did Aces and Eights. We did Outgunned.
Man, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of everybody who gets to play all these games. I just read all these games, especially Aces of Eights, because I know Michael absolutely loves Aces of Eights.
It was a fun time actually playing it. I was worried it might be a little, but it was fun. Okay. We've done Fabula Ultima, but we stopped at an arc. We're not done with the full game.
Okay.
The things that are kind of in the game queue right now is Good Society, The Between, New Eden. When we first started out with this group, we were running a 5e game called The World Reborn. Magic had been gone from the world for thousands of years, and then it came back, and the players had to deal with it. And they were kids, and one of the kids, the youngest of them, sacrificed themselves, so one of the elder ones didn't get eaten up by an eldest abomination attached to them. And we have to go back and get that kid. We have to.
100%.
Yeah, we have to go back and get the homie. So I gotta make a mega dungeon for that set in the Far Realm. So it's gonna take a little time.
Hey, no, I've got a. You need here. I'll help you. I'll send you a link, or if you want to go to Weird WYRD hyphen randomizer.com. It should still be there, hopefully.
Ooh. Weird dungeon randomizer. Having the time to physically roll on each of the 11 tables for a dungeon may not. Ooh.
Pick your number of players, and then hit generate factions. And that will give you factions if you need them.
Oh, I do like this. I like this actually. Okay,
And then if you begin the level, hit generate level, it'll give you, at the very least, will give you prompts for like the level names, the trappings, what kind of traps will be in there, what kind of enemies, and decorations. And then all stuff. All of this that you're looking at is from my game Weird Dungeon that I published 2 years ago.
Oh, this is cool.
So this is how the game works, where you roll on all these tables. This is my accessibility tool because it's like I understand that if you're trying to roll up a dungeon on the fly in front of people, that can be pretty difficult. So I just put all of the 11 D66 tables in this website.
Oh yeah, this is great.
I need to change out all of the, because it still says Happy Jack Games, but yeah, that might help you if you want to try that out.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because yes, generating a mega dungeon is. Ugh. Here you go. Or if you can find it, this is Dwimmermount. I've been trying to run this thing for like a decade. You can see all the tabs I have to pick everything. This is a mega dungeon. It uses Labyrinth Lord as it's an OSR thing.
Ooh, okay.
But
I found it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally a mega dungeon that's like, here you go. That's the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been excited to try to play it. I got like one session in and never got back to it. My favorite thing about this setting, I tell people about this all the time. What they did, you want to talk one of the coolest things for races. Dwarves are non-binary in this game. There are no female dwarves. Technically, there's no male dwarves either. They reproduce by literally carving their quote-unquote sun out of stone and putting jewels on it. And if the ritual is successful, it creates a new dwarf.
Oh, I like that.
I like that a lot. If it's unsuccessful, it's just an inert statue with stones and is basically a stillbirth. And that dwarf never creates another sun ever again. They get one shot at it. But there's also another fail state, which if it can corrupt the birth, forming a gnome. And that's how gnomes are made, is they are corrupted, and they're kind of like kept in the back of society and not talked about. And I'm like, this is the most unique and really interesting like change of like races and how they work. And we were talking about this with some other friends, is like people need to do that more with like D&D fantasy races. Like, yeah, it's like, cool, you're a human with a beard. You're a human with pointed ears. Like,
speaking of weird cool things. Okay, hear me out. Now you're getting a sneak peek into this thought, right?
Ooh, all right.
People that have heard this are like,
here we go.
Fellow black folk. A couple of them. Dwarves should be black people.
Okay, because normally they're Scottish. So now I'm ready.
now that I've got you here, I don't mean like, hey, if you play a dwarf, you're playing a black person. So here's what happened. You know Pointy Hat over on do you recognize Pointy Hat from YouTube? Like literally is usually just a pointy hat, sometimes has a human version of himself. Okay, well Pointy Hat does reviews and talks about D&D and da-da-da-da. And while I work, I like to put stuff in the background, unless I have to really, really focus. Like if I'm reading something. And Pointy Hat did a video about the problem with dwarves and was like, reminded me like, or one I already knew that dwarves, like they had a whole thing with their beards and stuff in their hair. and said, so yeah, you should do dwarven hair shows, right? And then two told me that in the lore of D&D, dwarves as a people, not necessarily individually, but as a people, are often way more religious than other groups of races. And so I was like, yo, dwarf as black people specifically as one praise and worship, like because like Christianity and Baptist,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. No,
that
no.
kind of thing has a heavy part in the black community
I'm
and
a
all that stuff.
southerner. I know southern
Yeah,
black
yeah,
churches. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
like in that aspect, black, right?
yeah.
And then for the hair stuff, immediately, like I know they have hair shows of all types of hairstyles, but the thing that my brain immediately went to was the hair shows that you specifically use like black people
Yeah.
because of our hair texture. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what if the culture around hair and stuff for dwarves was like literally what you find around black hair culture?
Sure.
Like the products, the different things,
No,
like the whole
you don't
nine
even have to
yards, right?
describe. Like I'm there. Like with the we're talking about
Hmm.
with beards, like because it is such a
Hmm.
big deal. The amount of re- culture around what would go into that, and the product that would be made for it, and like
Hmm.
the care for it.
Hmm. No, exactly. And then
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
religious part is like my brain was on like, okay, so praise and worship, like, hey, this is black folk, the gospel singing like the whole nine yards. Because like obviously dwarves aren't black people, you know?
Yeah.
But like the cultural bits of it, pulling that
Ah,
into
yeah, yeah,
there,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I was sitting here like, damn, this would be cool. And I'm gonna make a video talking about it a little bit more when I get some visuals for it. And then the secondary thing, I think dwarves need to be more tightly tied to rock elementals and rock and earth
Mm.
genasi personally. Like you know how in some stuff it's like okay, you know how like in the real world they'll like um if they don't completely outlaw God, they'll be like, hey, this God is actually a part of the pantheon. Here's like they're actually here. Here's the version of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if the one God that's responsible for like creating the dwarves is out also actually the elemental God that's responsible for the earth elementals, and then you get Genasi out like
So
almost. Yeah.
not to burst your bubble or break it.
Go
That's
ahead.
how they work in World of Warcraft.
Oh, is that how they work? I've never played.
They're
Actually, I take it
they're
back. I have played World of Warcraft, but
it's
like
a
the
deep it's
campaign
deep
ones
deep
instead.
lore. It's deep
Oh yeah, I
lore
didn't know
that
that.
you find out much later that like these earthen elemental type earth titans are responsible for creating the dwarves who are
I
all
think that should be the case in more D&D stuff. I think, personally, if it was, it is me. If I when I'm in
yeah.
charge of my own, when the doors that I'm in charge of moving forward, not in this current setting, but maybe in this current setting, who knows? It's like, hey, they got this black aspects to them here and here,
Mm-hmm.
and this god is also tied to this god, and these, and you more readily get. The only way Earth
Yeah.
Genasi get born outside of this is if somebody is around when there's a weird plane of Earth confluence. They're
Right.
pregnant. They have a kid. They get turned in there. But like, it's almost exclusively you have dwarven Earth Genasis.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
Because I'm also thinking Aule from Lord of the Rings. He was the creator god who created the dwarves um out of stone and gave them life before the elves. Dwarves were before the elves, and God came in and was like, "Hey, no, my guy, can we put them to sleep for a little while? Because I got this other plan." Anyway, but I do like that this idea of them being, yeah, absolutely.
I like it
Make
too.
make
I'm
everything
like,
weird. Make
exactly.
everything weird.
Make it weird. Make it weird.
Because I was trying to do that um, with one of my other games, the one I was telling you about that I had you help on, that I eventually tossed out. Because that's what I was trying to do with
Remind me
Galot.
of the name. My brain
So
is like completely
you know,
like.
no, it's fine. Oh, what did I call it? The Rending of Palagast, because the concept is the world itself has been broken into the 7 domains, because it was 5e. It was very heavily tied into 5e. So
Mhm.
literally the 7 um, domains, clerical domains, it was broken into all 7 of those,
Mhm.
and a solar presides over each one of those domains, and of the 7 clerical domains. And the Tempest, that's where all the dwarves lived. They were both sailors and
Mhm,
miners. So you could either
mhm,
be like this amazing sailor or, out in the oceans, whatever. But the
mhm,
dwarves created the Goliaths in this setting.
mhm,
And then Goliaths started having sentience because they were stone. So I kind of the same idea, but it's just with Goliaths rather than this.
mhm.
Um, and in my setting, they all called each other, all the Goliaths that were sentient were sisters. They all called it their sister, whoever, and whatever. That was their
Mhm,
kind of
mhm,
their
mhm.
culture. Um, and I remember talking to you about that, and you're like, it gets a little into kind of Jewish territory with the
Yeah.
oh, what's the name? Sorry, as I've gotten older, na- words I lose words
Yeah.
constantly.
No, you're so fine.
Um,
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 42.
No way.
Yeah, I'm.
What? You're in your
Yeah,
40s? I
yeah.
would not have believed that if you told me.
I got an
I
8-year-old
totally
and
would.
5-year-old. Hey, I do need. I've talked about this. My grandmother had dementia at her
Mhm,
old age, and I've
mhm,
heard that signs start in your 40s, and one of the signs is forgetting words. On the other hand, my fiance is like, yeah, another sign of severe trauma is
mhm.
forgetting
Nope.
words.
Yeah,
And we've been
so
living in the past 4 years. So it's like I need to legitimately go get checked out. So it's like I'm
yeah.
either having cognitive decline or I'm just
Mhm,
need to see a therapist.
mhm.
Um Golems. That's right.
Yep. Yep.
It gets into that territory. So
Yep.
and that's I think between that and some of the other stuff you were helping me with, I was just like, I like the general concept of these because the whole religiosity behind it was there was one true God who sacrificed themselves, but in so doing, their essence destroyed the world
Mhm, mhm,
and broke it into these seven pieces. And then
mhm,
these seven angels arrive later saying, we are the seven aspects of the one true God now manifest in these different pieces, and what's left of the one true people was split into all the different races, blah blah blah, and they
mhm,
begin to worship all these things. Um, and part of it was the god of life was just an arrogant asshole who eventually at the start of the game who declares themselves the supreme solar, like I am the most high of all seven. Yeah, and I was like, I just like the idea of taking the life domain and just making them just a jerk that nobody likes. Like what a um and then the death domain was the one of the only ones that didn't have a landmass.
mhm.
But if you traveled into the Underdark, eventually all roads in the Underdark lead to their plane of existence, into the city of the dead.
Ooh, I
Which is
like that.
where, but that's a way you could fast travel between the
Mhm.
various domains. Is you could travel to that city and then from there travel to. It's the most dangerous route. Is to travel around, and I think that's where I wanted gnomes to be from the city of the dead.
Mm.
But
Uh,
I'll
interesting.
figure out a way to because I got rid of demons and devils being different. They were all what we call the abyssal horde, and they just were
Mm.
out in space trying to break into the material plane from the abyssal plane to
Mhm.
overrun everything. And yeah, there's all that stuff going on. I'll revisit it one day.
One of these days.
Yeah, because I was like, I started making a Pathfinder 2 supplement for it, and it's just like, you think writing for a 5e is difficult. Write for Pathfinder.
I'm
Oh,
literally planning on
oof,
starting to write for Path, but I don't know what exactly,
oof.
but it's gonna be something. I gotta branch out. I gotta not just be in. Which, mind you, I'm not just in 5e. You know, people
Yeah,
hire me for like indie stuff, but I want to get hired by Paizo one of these days.
they just had a
Like,
game designer position open up. Did you apply for it?
I didn't because I don't have any examples of me writing for Pathfinder yet. So there's like,
Oh.
hey, yeah. So
Oh, did they ask
I was
for
like,
you writing for Pathfinder? I didn't read that at all. I just
yeah,
said,
I was in it. It was like, hey,
oh,
examples of you having previously done Pathfinder like work
oh,
either with them or like it didn't have to be with them, but you have to have something
oh.
that was like, shit, I don't have like I know how the game works. I've played it. I have ideas, but I haven't published anything. So it's like I have to get on my Pathfinder grind.
Well, I was right when my friends and family were like, "Good luck," and I was like, "It's a long shot." Oh, was it ever a long shot? Because I don't have any. Whoopsie. It's dense, and it's like, because that's when I started writing for it. I was like, okay, let me. Every time you come up with an ancestry, the amount of content, like mechanical content, that goes into writing new ancestries.
Mhm,
Wow, it was a lot. And I was just like, I
mhm.
don't know if I
And
have.
mind you, ancestries are my bread and butter in D&D. Like
You may
I'm
that
I'm the
yeah,
I'm the elf and an orc guy. I'm
yeah,
one of them.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah. So you'll love it. It might spark joy in you, and it
Is-
got
is-
overwhelming.
I don't even know if I want to be that guy in like Pathfinder. What if I want to be
Mm,
like I write really great adventures, you know, or specifically Starfinder? I really like sci-fi games. Like,
okay.
don't get me wrong, fantasy is great, but sci-fi kind of has my like. I think the
Man.
first stuff I ever got into with my dad was sci-fi related
Okay.
things, and so I'm like,
I've heard
that holds like.
the latest Star Trek TTRPG. I think it's Modifius. Somebody, it's a 2D20, I think. It's supposed to be
I,
really good.
yeah, I just gotta I got I like I play more than 5e now. I've been hired to do like
Yeah,
indie
Modifius.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on indie stuff, but I also gotta like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
hear you.
Hmm.
I hear you. Everybody's been hiring me to do illustrations for them, and I'm like, but I want to make games. I
I want to make them.
don't want to draw for them. Yeah, Modifius did the tabletop RPG,
Hmm.
second edition core rulebook. Oh, $102 for the limited edition. But they have the limited edition in all three, either the command, sciences, or operations. So you can get it in either yellow, blue, or red for the different t-shirts.
I like that. That
That's
is nice.
beautiful. That's yeah, I like sci-fi, like Numenera, because it's
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
it's fantasy sci-fi where it's like I can pull in all the sci-fi weirdness, but to all of the characters it comes across as magic because they don't know any better. So you get to
Hmm.
describe all these like mechanical sci-fi stuff, but to the character, it's just like I don't know what it does.
Hmm.
It's all
Jesus.
yeah. Well, it is. I think we're hour 30, hour 40, 46. We did it. Thank you so much again,
Yeah.
BJ, for stopping by the
No, this was so much
campfire.
fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, is there? I'll go ahead and say if there's anything you want to talk about before we leave. If you have one last sign off, give you the last.
I think more people, more designers, more DMs who like to make monsters should play more of modded Minecraft. Um, Specifically because they have some really cool bosses in that game. Like the modded stuff. Like right now, I'm playing in fantasy Minecraft, and I found a like the old champion, which is like a big skeletal motherfucker. And mind you, I started playing it again. Like I like Minecraft. I started playing them again because I was like, okay, I want to do a thing called stat it out, where I take the variety of things from various media and stat it out for D&D and other TTRPGs, right? And so I was like, Minecraft is rife with stuff for that, you know? And so I'm like, you should play more modded Minecraft. You know, get the creative juices
I like
flowing.
that. I like that. We're gonna clip that out. I like that. Play more modded Minecraft. My 8-year-old will agree with you.
Your 8-year-old has good taste.
Yes. I love it. All right. Well, have a good rest of your night. Get back to Dragon Age 2, even though
Dragon Age 2.
it's a terrible game.
I'm gonna jump. Where do you live again?
Don't worry about where I live.
Are you going to PAX Unplugged this year?
No. You're gonna jump hit PAX. Maybe. I'm hoping to get to Gen Con maybe through my company. So I might be working Gen Con if I'm lucky.
Makes sense. Unless something drastically changed, I'm never going back to Gen Con because it's just really big. It's too big of a convention for me.
And I love it I'm one of the few people that's the part that I actually enjoy about it, but because everybody I know is there. Well, if you come to Dragon Con.
Oh, I mean, I'm only a couple of. How far are you from Dragon Con?
I'm within driving distance. I do not have to. I don't have to stay there. Oh no! What I mean by driving distance, as in I go in for the day and then go home.
Dragon Con, which is located in Atlanta.
Yeah. Come get me.
I'm about to be 2.5 hours away from Atlanta.
Well, I thought. Did you have a picture of you at Georgia Renaissance Festival? Is that on your?
Yeah.
I thought so. I was like, that looks like the gate to Georgia.
Yeah. My buddy lives in Atlanta still, so me and another homie went there, and it was so much fun.
Oh, Georgia Renaissance.
But no, I'm about to be in Alabama and not that far from Atlanta, so you count your fucking days. You heard it here, folks. I'm jumping this motherfucker. There was something I wanted to say to you about Dragon Age 2, and I can't remember what it is now. Damn it. There was something I so wanted to say to you.
See, I threw you off on purpose. My camera.
Fine. I'll remember and tell you about it later.
There it is. I love it. Okay, go enjoy Dragon Age 2. Legitimately, I'm glad.
Dragon Age, at least for the next hour.
Exactly. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next hour. I should be going to sleep, but
it's almost 11 where you are.
That's okay. I still stay up to about 1 o'clock, even though I shouldn't, because I have to get up at generally about 6 o'clock in the morning to get my daughter ready for school.
No.
I don't get to sleep in anymore.
Nasty behavior. All right, thank you.
I'll let her know. Here. Yes, thank you.
This is so much fun.
Yay! I don't know who's next. For those wondering, I've been talking to a lot of people, trying to get some people. Potentially, fingers crossed, Justin, Freddie's roommate.
I love Justin.
Yeah, so Justin, I have to pick Justin's brain about his video editing because it is just way too stinking good.
I'm gonna get in that head too. I'm gonna be back when you do that.
Exactly. And then I might have a recorded session. Oh shoot, again. Names. Daniel the GM. Might be doing a just a recorded session, not a stream with Daniel.
Gotcha. No, that'd be fun.
Yeah. But thank you so much again. I'll keep saying that forever. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye.